Good morning, fifth grade. What's up, guys? So excited to be back here with you guys again. We are almost done. It's crazy, I know. But pushing forward, we are learning about weathering and erosion this week. I know we have definitely talked about it. And while we brought this up, I know we did like 2 pages in our JJ boot camp on weathering and erosion. So we're going to do the other 3. If you did not do the other 2, then start on review A. Okay, I have everybody else starting on review C because I know that we did 2 in class, but we did not get to do the rest. So go ahead and make sure you look at our outline for this week and do the correct pages 108 to 113. If you did not do them, then you're doing 104 to 113. All right, so let's get started. For Friday, I want you guys to draw 1 example of weathering and 1 example of erosion. And then on Tuesday, you have 1 short activity, and I'll talk about that.
Bam! There you go. That's how we do.
Oh, you got it, you got it. Let me move it out of the way.
Nice. You're good, Zoe. Come on, let's play one more time.
Oh, I really can't. I've got to study for that weathering and erosion quiz tomorrow.
Zoe, playing Super Duo Breaker and Whoosh is just like studying weathering and erosion.
Somehow I think my teacher might disagree.
No. Check it out. In the game, Breaker and Whoosh are a superhero duo. They work together and change the land. Breaker breaks things down, and Whoosh carries them away.
And what does that have to do with studying?
Weathering and erosion work together just like Breaker and Whoosh. They're a scientific super duo. Weathering is the breakdown of materials in the Earth's crust into sediment. If weathering were a superhero, it would be Breaker.
Actually, that sort of makes sense.
Erosion is when weathered rock is carried away by gravity, water, wind, and ice. If erosion were a superhero, it would be Whoosh.
You're right. Weathering and erosion work together and change the Earth. Just like a pair of superheroes.
Right. Think of weathering as a superhero that acts in different ways and breaks things down. It breaks down rocks with water. It wears things away with wind. It can even scorch or freeze the Earth with temperature, cracking and breaking it apart. When weathering acts like this, it's called physical weathering.
Wow.
That's only the beginning. There's another whole side to weathering's personality. Chemicals in the air mix with water to make acid rain that eats away at limestone rocks. Oxygen reacts with iron and forms rust. That's chemical weathering.
Then, after weathering is done breaking things down, his trusty sidekick, Erosion, steps in.
Yeah, Erosion swoops in and picks up the pieces, carrying them away. Erosion knows how to move, and it does it all sorts of ways. It's the flow of water that moves rocks and sand, the push of the wind that carries sediment away, even the movement of a glacier dropping pieces of rock at the bottoms of oceans and lakes.
Glaciers move?
Yeah, glaciers are giant moving rivers of ice. They carry along pieces of rock and then drop them as they move. It's called deposition because the glacier is making a deposit.
Weathering and erosion really are like a super duo. Who knew?
You knew. You just needed to stop playing all those video games and think.
Oh, look who's talking.
So, you want to play another game?
Let's see if I've got this weathering and erosion song and dance down first. Weathering and erosion work together and change the environment. Weathering breaks things down and can be physical or chemical. Erosion actually moves the sediment that weathering leaves behind. Together, they're constantly changing our environment.
Looks like someone just got all their studying done.
Thanks to your help.
We're a pretty super duo ourselves.
All right. I remember teaching that one and you guys seeing it, and it's pretty funny. So, all right, let's get going here with weathering and erosion. Yeah. All right. So with this being review, we're going to go through it, of course, and talk about a couple things. So here we go, weathering and erosion. True or false, the Earth's surface has stayed the same for thousands of years. False. Yeah, the Earth's surface is always changing. So there it was before, there it is now. So remember these, we talked about 1890, 1910, 1920, and 1970, 1990. So definitely changing those structures. So weathering is the breaking up of rock into smaller pieces. Weathering is anything that is breaking down those rocks and making them smaller. There are 5 causes: ice, water, wind, temperature change, and plants. Of these, what appears to be the leader in changing the surface? What do you think? We'll talk about that when we meet. So water gets into cracks, freezes, and then expands. As it expands over time, it breaks the rock into smaller pieces. So over here you have this dip in this ledge. It fills up with water, it freezes, turns to ice, and then that ice cracks that rock open. Great example of this rock over here on the right-hand side. Water. So moving water wears the surface of rocks away over time. So just think about if I had a sandcastle and I kept throwing water at it over and over and over again, what would happen? Right? Eventually, my sandcastle would weather away. It would be knocked down and it would turn almost into nothing, right? Wind. So as the wind blows, it picks up small particles of sand or sediment and blasts large rocks with the abrasive particles, cutting and shaping that rock. So imagine this rock being hit by all these tiny little rocks over and over and over and over again, right? Yeah. It doesn't really stand a chance. It takes out different pieces and knocks it over. Plants. So we know that plants will do whatever they want to do when they want to do it, right? So rocks have cracks and roots grow in between the cracks and break rocks down over time. Roots of plants can exert lots of pressure on rocks and they start to break up. Temperature change, and not just temperature change, but look at that word, extreme, meaning that it's going from super cold to super, super hot. So weathering due to temperature often occurs in areas like deserts where there is large temperature range on a daily basis. The temperature soars high in the day while dipping greatly at night. As the rocks heat up and expand by day and cools and contracts by night, stress is often exerted on the outer layers. So then the stress causes the peeling of the outer layer, the rocks, in thin sheets. So we're just looking at this picture here. And these guys, I just want to let you know, these I cannot click on these. But extreme heat, my rock gets hot, it breaks, it cools, it could also crack. So Yoshi knows that over time, frequent changes in air temperature can weather rocks. Which of the following is a way air temperature can weather rocks? So air temperature. A, changes in air temperature cause rocks to expand and contract. B, low air temperatures can make the minerals and rocks softer. C, changes in air temperature make the composition of rocks. Or D, high air temperature can make rocks melt. So which one did we actually talk about? Right, A, yes, it can cause rocks to expand and then to contract. So this looks like the pictures that we had in the beginning. The landform shown in the illustration below was formed by the weathering of rock over a long period of time. Which of the following is most likely causing the weathering of this landform? So what is most likely causing this weathering? to the middle of the desert. Good, yeah, wind. Do we see people? Do we see plants? Do we see waves? No, so it's going to be D, wind. All right, so now let's talk about erosion. So erosion is the process by which water, ice, wind, or gravity moves fragments of rock and soil. So this is the movement. Remember, weathering is the breaking down, as to where erosion is the movement. So now we have whoosh coming in. Erosion is the movement of sediment. This process, known as erosion, is gradually wearing down the surface of the earth. Erosion is the process by which weathered rock and soil or sediment are moved from one place to another. Erosion carves the earth's surface, creating canyons, gorges, and even beaches. So what do you think has caused this rock to look this way? Probably wind, right? Maybe some water. So we have wind. Wind, as the wind blows, it picks up small particles, and we've talked about this, and it actually hits those sand and sediment and blasts large rocks with abrasive particles, cutting and shaping that rock. So once again, if I had a big rock and I kept taking small rocks and throwing it at the big rock, what would happen to the big rock? Yeah, little pieces would break off of it. Rivers and streams are a constant flow of runoff water that erode landforms. So it's constantly, as that water is going through, it's going to make these trenches and these valleys lower. It's going to make them wider just because that constant water is flowing through there. Ice. Glaciers wear down the landscape by picking up and carrying debris that moves across the land with the ice. Glaciers can pick up and carry sediment that ranges in size from sand grains to boulders, bigger than houses. When glaciers move, they drag rocks along their bottom and cause abrasion. So not only is this rock going to fall, but it's going to pick up anything else behind it. A glacier is like nature's bulldozer, moving big and small sediments from one area to another. Gravity. Gravity causes erosion. It creeps, slumps, landslides, mudslides, and avalanches. So just you guys know, gravity is anything that pulls down, right? So gravity pulls anything down. So if I have a bunch of snow at the top of a hill or a bunch of rocks at the top of a hill, it has to go down. Plants. So plants can help, and they can also prevent erosion. So if I have some roots holding in my soil might not be moving as much if I have a plant in there. When water is poured over soil and without vegetation, the soil vegetation had the least runoff. So what he's basically saying is he has dirt, he has mulch, and then he has grass. So he poured water into the soil, poured water into the mulch, and he poured water in the grass. Which one had the most water at the end? Definitely the soil, right? It had nothing to hold on to. So let's see, is it weathering or erosion? Go ahead and pause this video, and on Wednesday when we meet, we'll go over number 1 through 8. So go ahead and pause this, and what I want you to write down is if it's weathering or erosion. You can just write W or E, or you can write weathering or erosion. So we're not going to talk about these, but I want to make sure that you have these ready for Wednesday. So please make sure that you do this page. Oh, so some of it can be both. I did want to go by that. Some can be both. Here we go. Number 1. Frito and his family are hiking in the mountains. Along the trail, he sees the broken rocks shown below. What might Frito infer caused them to break? Wind, water, erosion caused the rocks to break apart. Bits of sand blew on a rock, causing it to break apart over time. Or D, ice froze in a crack and in the rock, and over time caused it to break. So what looks like was the biggest cause? D, yes. D is in dog. The ice froze. When you see a rock break almost perfectly in half, definitely that ice got in there and broke. Manuel writes 4 examples of erosion in his notebook as shown in the table below. One of his is wrong. So how can Emmanuel best rewrite his wrong example to make it correct? So it says there's 4 examples of erosion. Erosion is moving anything. So we should see the words of moving something. A, rivers drop sediments to form deltas. B, ocean waves wash away beach sand. C, windstorms carry away sand and soil. D, flowing glaciers carry many boulders, pebbles, and sand. So which one is not talking about erosion and the movement of something? Good. You guys have probably all chose A. Rivers drop sediments to form deltas. So how can I change that to make it erosion? Yep, it would have to be A. It's the only one that talks about rivers. Very good. Last one. Devora learns that erosion is caused by wind, water, gravity, or ice moving materials from one place to another. Which of the following is not an example of erosion? Well, if it's not an example of erosion, then it has to be an example of ding, 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 weathering. So whenever I'm looking for weathering, I want to be looking for the words broken or break. A, sand being blown from a beach onto a road. B, a canyon being carved into rock by a flowing river. C, a road cracking as water soaks into it and freezes. D, a glacier carrying soil and sediment across the land. So which one is talking about a rock or something breaking up? Good. C, yeah, a road cracking as water soaks into it and freezes. Very good. All right, guys. So real quick, talking about what we're doing this week. I'm going to put your YouTube video is here. Your JJ Bootcamp pages are here. Here is your text dependent. I will post this on OneNote and in your class notebook. We have our meeting Wednesday. For Thursday, I want you just to draw an example of weathering and erosion. And then Friday, we have our second meeting. I will post this on our page as well. Other than that, that's all I got for y'all. So if you have any questions, please make sure you reach out. Please make sure you're able to ask those so that you can get everything that you need. And I'll see you guys live in just a couple of days. Bye.